Hello everyone, this is Ken from Keystroke, and today we're going to be running through a little known feature within Qsales called Quoting for Act. This feature was added in to Qsales as part of a 12.1 update, our first major release after we acquired the product, and didn't get a lot of fanfare in amongst all the news of us taking over it. So I thought I would focus this webinar just so that people can understand how useful it is, because Quoting for Act is a really powerful quoting tool that really works into the workflow of both a sales rep and using Qsales. We're going to show you why we added it to the program. So firstly, it all starts from the opportunity. So we're going to pull up this contact, Chris Huffman. We're going to select opportunities, and then we're going to open up this opportunity. Okay, there is absolutely nothing special about this opportunity. Just going to click over here to the product section so you can see you've got all the standard, just a simple $149 quote. Let me just get this here. One more click. So you can see one product and all, here's the estimated close date. Everything is very, very straightforward. It's open. So this is the simplest type of quote that we would ever have to work with, okay? Now, even though we've got some Qsales functionality over here, I wanna go straight to the quoting feature that we added, okay? So we're just gonna take, let's say that we've just created this opportunity, we've got all the variables in, and now we wanna convert it to a quote. We click on Quoting for Act, and up comes the quoting console. Now, before I get into this, let's go to the settings. So here, you're gonna notice all of these different configurable options. Now, the one thing to note is you can actually create all of these configurable options as a preset and then toggle between these different ones. So if I clicked on here, I've clicked on save. If I make a bunch of changes, okay, I can then click on save and give it a new name. So it can have different logos, it can have different addresses, different disclaimers, different email, all of this different information, and then I can keep selecting from the drop-down list as my needs suit, okay? Why would you need something like that? Well, this was a commonly requested feature where people wanted to quote internally from one department to the next. So many companies will have different divisions. For us, we have our Keystroke parent company, but then we also have Handheld Contact, we have Act add-ons. So, different templates for different needs depending on what branding we're going to be quoting under. So we can select here the logo. We can select here the different currencies that we support. So this would be listed here under a drop-down. We can put in the sales tax number, which is required in this country. If we're adding sales tax to an invoice, we've got to have the account listed. The quote number prefix, this is important because if you have multiple installations of this, you may actually have the same quote number, but the prefix will distinguish it from one quoting person or one sales rep to another, okay? Same kind of rule for the suffix where you can actually set a different number to be appended on the end. The minimum number of digits is self-evident. You can set where a quote will always be a set number of digits. And then here it has a record of the last quote that you used in sequence. The importance of that is obviously the next quote is going to be the next one in sequence. Now the company address, this is important because you're going to actually, this is going to be surfaced under the logo on the quote. And then you put in your disclaimer information. You cannot send out a quote without having disclaimer information relating to acceptable payment terms, relating to prices are being linked to the quantities listed. And then even having the wording saying, assigned estimate forms, legally binding contract, whatever is appropriate for your business or industry, this is where you would put it in. So give it a little bit more legal strength when you're sending it out to customers. And then the last part is a real time saver where you put in the default email body. What is really handy about that is whatever you put in here will automatically be populated in any quote that you send out to a customer. So you don't have to keep typing out the same kind of preamble for a quote. You put it in once here and it gets pre-populated for every single quote you send. So as I said, a real time saver. And you can even put in your full signature information as well. So document formatting, this is where you put in, you can see where I've selected the body font for all the data, the header font, the company header font, and then here's the coloring that I'll use for the background. Tax settings, here's where I can put in really detailed information. And what's interesting here is you can see the FX, which stands for foreign exchange. When we are selling Canadian customers US products like our software, then we can actually add a foreign exchange because our costing is based in the US. So this is a feature not everyone's going to use. In fact, I'm guessing the minority of people would use, but it's nice that you can add it in under the tax settings really with nothing else required. Okay, so I've got my 3 different types of sales tax, my FX, and then the last is the email settings. Why do I need that? Because I'm not relying on Outlook to send this out. Okay, so this will be completely emailed from within the program without having to be passed on to another application. And here's where I can test the connection. So once I've got all of that, let's take a look at some of the other quoting information. So I've got quote information here, shipping. If I want to add this in, this is useful because it's not really a line item, okay? And there isn't really a quantity, so it's nice to be able to put in that. And then the deposit required, I can put in 50% if needed, okay? I can also toggle up and down with these buttons. Deposit date, and then I can also put in valid to. Okay, valid to is required on all quotes. Obviously, because you can't have something that is available to be accepted forever because pricing changes. Okay, so does inventory. So here's where it's selecting the contact, and then the currency type. You saw that I listed 2 in my settings, so I got those to choose from. And then here, display quote after saving. So if I clicked on save, then it would complete that process and then pop up a preview, display grid lines. That's self-evident, not a terribly attractive option. And then send email after saving. So not just previewing, it will queue it up right afterwards. Okay, so let's actually save this. Okay, now I'm going to click on quoting fract again, and I'm going to click on preview. So what this typically, there we go. Okay, so now you can see the different formatting. You can see the italicized text that I set as the default data text, and then you can see the different font used for the header information. Not the header information, the company information, and then you can see the color I chose for the column headers, okay? And then you've got the disclaimer information here. I've got print name, signature, date, and then the deposit information I put in, deposit before, okay? And then even you can see my name listed as the sales rep, the currency, the quote number, the issue date, and the expiration date. So all of the information that you need in a quote in order to send it, okay? And then here's the breakdown of the subtotal, the sales tax as it's applied, okay? Now in this case, there is no HST, okay, because I didn't add HST to it because there's a little checkbox that indicates it. So it's listed there as available, but nothing was applied. Okay, so now I've got that. So let's say I want to save that to my documents. Okay, that's been saved to the documents. Now I want a documents tab under the opportunity, and now I want to email the quote. So here it automatically gets queued up. Here is the quote number. Here's where the information gets pre-populated. You'll notice that Outlook is not loading, and I've got everything I need, including my signature, in order to send out. And now this is sent out. Okay, so that is sent out. If I want to check the documents, okay, click here. This is now saved. I did this demo earlier, so there's a couple of instances of this. And the reason that you want to be able to save multiple copies of a quote is quotes evolve. You may have customers that say, oh, can you add this to the quote? Can you add that to the quote? And then over the course of that sales process, they may say, well, can I go back to what you quoted me originally? My boss hasn't approved any of the extra expenses. Well, because you saved the quote, you actually have the ability to go back and take a look at the original iteration of the quote. Okay, so that's what's nice to always be saving to the documents. So you've got kind of got that audit trail all along. But let's get back. We've seen how we can create a quote from an opportunity. Now let's see why it's important in the context of Qsales. So Qsales has a really cool feature where you can take a opportunity, a closed opportunity, and convert it into invoice. So let's take a look at here where I can say convert to invoice. So imagine here, I have taken an opportunity that I've created based on a customer request. I have then converted those opportunity details into a quote, and then I have sent it out. The customer has accepted it. Now, what do? Well, I don't want to have to enter the information in again. Qsales is all about saving time. So what I'll do now is I'll just say convert to invoice. And now it's all ready to go. I just set in some of the additional information. This person is in the United States. Nope, this person is in Canada. Okay. And then I set myself as the sales rep. Where am I? There. Okay. I put in the terms because that may not be visible. Okay. And now I've got a ready. Now, let's say that the person, you suddenly had to add tax to it. This is where you can do it. Okay. And I'm going to say this person is actually subject to HST. Okay. So I've added that parameter in. And now when I'm going to put this as pending because I don't want this transaction to be saved to our production version of QuickBooks. So I'm now going to click on save. It's assigned an invoice number, and that's it. So think about the workflow. I've gone from an opportunity based on what a simple product that the customer requested, sending it out to a quote, having them accepted, converting that quote or that opportunity into an invoice that is now in QuickBooks and is ready to send out. No duplication of effort. All I did at the very beginning was prepare an opportunity, and everything after that was just click, click, click to completion, and it's done now. And that is what we wanted to cover today. So again, that's how we've added the quoting feature into Qsales to save all Qsales customers time and effort in managing their pipeline. Thanks for joining us today.